Weiter! Fick dort!
On our third day of the tour, we looked at more of the French and German side of things. The French would have been fighting in the south of the Western Front. And here we visited a French memorial which is modelled on the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. And I certainly liked all of the artwork around the sides, the images of the French soldiers. A couple who lived in a house which was across the road from the memorial donated the money to have it built. This is me just getting a little bit bored, so I took a picture of my shadow. And this is the house that the couple lived in. This is in the south of the Western Front, just a sweep of the fields that the French would have been fighting against the Germans. Here we went to a German cemetery. The German cemeteries were a lot darker, with large trees. They had about 4 people to a grave, and they're very different to British and French cemeteries. This is because after the war, the French didn't really want the Germans in their soil anyway, so they compromised and gave them small areas where they could bury their dead. You see there's no flowers or anything, just kind of plain and very dark. The Germans don't have a sort of sacrifice. They pretty much just have a black cross, really. This is a field opposite the German cemetery. Poppies are literally everywhere. I know here I took a couple from the roadside. This is a French cemetery. As you can see, they're probably the most kind of colourful out of all the graveyards, British and German. In all the French cemeteries we went to, they had quite a huge amount of men buried there, but they all had their own grave. This is a Muslim headstone, I think. They had a few of these kind of dotted around with the French. Typical French headstone. Just saying officers who weren't found. And this is a mass grave of the bodies of men that they couldn't identify.
You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while among the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold.
This is the British and Indian cemetery we visited. Because India was part of the Commonwealth, like a British colony. When Britain entered the war, they called upon Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Newfoundland, South Africa and India for help. The stone there saying "Their name liveth forevermore" is in every British cemetery that we went to. This was a small British cemetery attached to a local French graveyard. It only had a few graves in it, but it was beautifully kept. Here's just a horse that was in the field next to the cemetery that I took a picture of. And this is an Australian memorial. Here we just had a talk on the road of the Australians in the war. Again, like the French memorial, a lot of kind of artwork on the sides of it. This is a church commemorating French troops. They had a little museum with some information on the surrounding areas during the war. And this is kind of a model of the Western Front, showing you where all the places are. And I just saw the little Welsh flag, so I took a picture. And this is just what I talk about in the next episode, where my great-great-uncle would have been fighting around La Bruxelles and Ovillers. This was heartbreaking. I didn't get a picture, but around the back of the church was a huge French cemetery, about 10 times the size of the one we had visited earlier in the day. It was really hard just looking at all of these white wooden crosses everywhere. Around the roads which mark the Western Front, you have these beautiful artworks just dotted around the edges of fields. It just shows how in this part of France where all the horrific fighting was, 90 years on, it's still remembering all of it. And for anyone researching relatives like I am, it is such a wonderful thing, and it really touches me.
You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold.